So I guess some of the things I said were a bit controversial or led to some comments on the last video. I haven't looked at the comments, but you know.
most of the comments you're alluding to have already been deleted or the people have blocked it.
All right.
So yes,
fair enough.
Controversial.
Well, you know, might be just on my mind because we took this airplane ride and we watched a couple videos, or watched a couple movies actually. One was about Jane Fonda.
Oh yeah.
We were interested in this because of her political involvement with the Vietnam War. And I wasn't interested because I didn't really know much about Jane Fonda at all. I knew of her more of just like a bimbo, basically. I mean, that's
right.
fine. I mean, she was an actress. She was a beautiful actress. And I knew there was something with her political involvement. So we watched this and it got me thinking, like, how intelligent do you have to be to do certain things in life? And with Jane Fonda, it seemed like her involvement both with acting and with being involved in politics was really because of who she was dating at the time. And that's how that, you know, this documentary was really like a vanity project for her. And it seemed that even from her perspective, she became the actress with the reputation that she had because of the film director that she was dating or that she got married to. And then she also had the involvement in politics that she did have because of then who her next marriage was, who she was married to next.
Right. So there's no criticism of her in the movie. So just want to be clear. It's an implicit point. But like her career is made first by her father.
Right.
Her father, and then by her first husband, a movie director, and then by her second husband. That other people are, writing the script for her literally and figuratively.
Yeah, and I thought it was kind of oddly a reflection of herself when she was talking about her father not being a good father and that he always needed a script to do anything in his personal life. Like he needed somebody telling him what to do, and she never had a good relationship with her father until they had this movie together where they lived out their issues with their relationship and then came to some kind of conclusion at the end of that. So, you know, I wondered last night, you know, how much intelligence had to do with veganism, because veganism is, in my opinion, inherently like political. It's inherently like something that you have to be committed to. Or maybe I should say it's more of an inherent moral standpoint. So, like, if you don't have this moral fortitude, like Moon and Rock, if you're not willing to deal with whatever health problems you have while staying vegan, while maintaining this moral character, then you're not going to be able to do it. So that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, is it about? I know you had a clear focus with your video, and it's great. You know, like, this is your channel. Like, I want to be like helpful with your videos. I want to, like, you know, bring some more discussion. But I understand you had a clear like path that you were going down.
Yeah. And this is your view. I got a question to ask you in response to what you just said. So I'm writing something down because if I'm not going to talk right away, I might forget my question. But you know, okay, how much latitude do we really have to accept someone as a medical doctor if they're stupid? Like, you know, like, it's easy to say, like, oh, well, you don't need to be an intellectual to be a medical doctor, or you don't need to be brilliant, or you don't need to be a genius. Yeah? Isn't it really scary to be getting advice from a medical doctor where you're not confident at all in their intelligence, where they seem vacillate, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but one more example, because I've been in this situation. Have you had to deal with, in general, have you, the audience, had to deal with a government employee at the unemployment office, job training or career office, places like that? Some, you know, they have a little bit of authority. They're a bureaucrat, but they get to decide things about your case. Isn't it really scary to be dealing with someone like that, and they're actually too stupid to understand what's on your CV or what your situation is? Like, it's not even that maybe they're evil too. It's not that they're evil. Okay, it's one thing. It's like, oh no, you don't need to be smart to be a social worker. You don't need to be an intellectual to be a government bureaucrat. You don't need to be an intellectual to be a dietitian or a medical doctor. I think it's really, really scary dealing with people in those positions.
Yes, and
that are stupid, and I think that is invisibly parallel and related to and connected to these questions about how smart do you have to be a vegan.
Yeah, right. And I liked what you said yesterday in that video about the authority figures in your life. And I mean, that to me is really relevant to my own experience in life, that I was somebody who, was bowing to authority figures. I wasn't inherently rebellious as a child and as a young adult. So yeah, I mean, it is scary, like, that people are in charge if they're not at a certain level of intelligence or just know-how or knowing what they're doing. So yeah, I mean, like, I'm sorry if like that came across as I don't know, controversial or something, but yeah, or also what I said.
Wait. How can it not be controversial to call somebody stupid?
Yeah, right.
Let's just be honest. I mean, like, look, it's controversial to call George W. Bush stupid.
Yeah.
And I had face-to-face conversations with people who were George W. Bush supporters. And most of the times they were honest enough. I mean, on some level they know. I mean, George W. Bush, even if you supported him or you voted for really not bright, really not well-spoken.
You're right.
But nevertheless, yes, it's always going to be controversial to say George W. Bush is stupid or to say...
okay, I own it then. I'm not saying I'm sorry. I'm saying, you know what? I'm going to talk about these things. I will offend people. But
right.
I do think that... I know, like you said, it kind of was derailing your point, but I do think that it is sad that the content that's nothing online, that's people on beaches in bikinis or, making food or whatever, that gets so many views. But like you said in this newer video that you recorded, that's just how it is. That's what people are interested in, and that's what more views are going toward.
I guess
kind of content.
Really short reply to that though. Like, I never felt sad that people don't read Plato. So, by the way, I'm a critic of Plato. I'm not saying this because I'm a supporter of the philosophy of Plato, but nevertheless, I'm reading criticism. I don't feel sad that, like, the whole population of Canada doesn't read Plato. What was heartbreaking and sad for me was that the people enrolled in the university, in the Department of Philosophy, in the 400 level Philosophy of Plato course, that they didn't read Plato. That was sad. And that impacted me emotionally and impacted the professor. The professor almost broke down crying at one point talking about that. I just said to him, these kids don't read the book. None of the other kids in the class have read the book. It's a 400 level specialized class, And I remember saying this face to face to a guy who's more left wing than I am, further left. He's not quite a communist, but out to that end of the more extreme end of the spectrum. I remember I was telling him the basic facts of what happened in Cambodia with communism and why communism was a disaster there and that America supported communism. And he was shocked and he started complaining, well, why doesn't everyone know this? Kind of like, why isn't this on the front page of the newspapers? Like, this was so shocking and so why isn't this put in? And again, what I said to him, I'm rephrasing, I remember exactly what I said. But what I said, I can hear a paraphrase as like, I'm not upset that everyone or the majority of people don't read the history of Cambodia, the politics of Cambodia. What upsets me is I'm enrolled in a university department Asian studies program, or I'm at Oxford or Cambridge or University of Victoria. I'm in like specific, academic conferences and classes. And when I'm in that room that's supposed to be the people who are devoted to it, that they don't read it and they don't know it.
Yeah. Well, that's partly
including the professors. That upsets. So I just say,
that's partly what
my view does already presume, a certain kind of inequality.
Yeah. Okay. So going to this idea from your more recent video about you said that if you have positive aspirations, you will attract followers. And for me, hearing that was sad because I do think you have had so many positive aspirations with being involved in vegan content. Right. And you have attracted followers. Sure. Of course.
Sure.
But as you say, you would like to publish a children's storybook, and that still hasn't happened despite, you have had the story and you've had basically
translators, by the way, translators volunteered. It's been translated into Russian and German and a bunch of languages. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, so that's a little bit of a concern that even though you have positive aspirations, it is kind of unclear where that's going to funnel or whether the followers that you have will lead to something down the road. And just on this topic, sorry, I'm trying to make this actually make sense, but so I saw, again, these just being on the airplane, I saw Last Week Tonight with John Oliver discussing NRA TV. So this is a channel on TV for the National Rifle Association, and they have independent television shows that are basically propaganda for buying guns or supporting people owning guns in America.
Yep.
And I think some people think of vegan YouTube, like YouTubers, as this is our form of vegan TV. But we don't have that kind of organization yet. There is the group in Taiwan that does have the Supreme Master TV.
Oh, yeah, the religious
So
group.
they
Yes.
do have a
Yep,
TV
yep.
channel. And if we could do something like that, then we would really have this tool for propaganda, for getting the message out there.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of this too, like I'm trying to piece all these things together. I also watched a documentary about Mr. Rogers, and I saw so many parallels when I was hearing about Mr. Rogers' view on children's entertainment that you and I both agree about, that children's entertainment needs to be better. We need to be teaching our children useful information, moral values with the television that we produce, with the entertainment that we produce for them, and not just, Transformers, not Batman, Superman, not shooting games and so on. So I want there to be some kind of vegan community, and vegan TV, which you also discuss in this other video, that these are parts of your aspirations that I also want. These are things that I also would like to have, and I think other people do in the vegan movement, but it's not really happening. And you can see it in the fact that Moon and Rock got 40,000 views on this video, and that they have as many subscribers. So even though it may have seemed petty for me to make that comment, that you are not getting as many views as them or whatever. And I know, as you say, a lecture about Aristotle is not going to get as many views as somebody making smoothies and doing exercise routines on their YouTube channels. I know that, but these are a small subset of people. Vegans are a small subset of people that want to make the world a better place. So why are you watching videos that are just about smoothies and exercise routines? Can't you, even if you don't agree completely with Eisel, why can't you listen to what he has to say and kind of incorporate it into your life or your set of beliefs that you have? So that to me was what was disappointing. And I don't know if it's all vegans that watch their YouTube channel, or I do wonder, based on the view counts that I see, are people watching vegan YouTubers that aren't even vegan? Are they just watching it for entertainment value because they think that we're crazy? It's hard for me to put myself in that scenario. When I think about the other demimons on YouTube, if there's an alt-right demimon on YouTube, I don't go to just watch it for entertainment value. Maybe you'll be watching a video that's controversial, and I'll see it or overhear it, or I'll click on something that's controversial that doesn't even have to do with veganism at all. And that's true, but I'm not getting involved in another demimon. I'm not watching all the videos by people that only eat the carnivore diet and maintaining this subscription, or but I do wonder how much of this could be instead about vegan TV, or
Well,
you know what I mean?
Just to be fair, there are people who watch fitness videos just because they're interested in fitness. So there are people who now watch Tess Begg because they're women who want to have a body like Tess Begg, and there are men who watch it as pornography. Same was true of Freely before. There were women who were not vegan and were not interested in the moral purpose of veganism at all, but who looked at Freely's videos because they wanted to have a body like Freely, and men who watched it because it was erotic for them. So those are some big factors. And the same is true with most of the hit cooking shows. To me, it'd be mind-numbingly boring to watch vegan recipe videos week after week. Well, sometimes, Sometimes we have, like, there's a specific thing. Remember when we were making vegan cinnamon rolls?
Yes.
And it was like, okay, how are other people making cinnamon rolls? And for a short period of time, we're comparing different videos about baking a specific thing. But on a weekly basis, week after week, to be watching these food channels is unbelievably boring to me. And a lot of it is about the sex appeal. Normally it's a woman who's the baker. Sometimes it's a man who's the cook or whatever.
Yes.
So, those are other things that kind of intersect with veganism. None of these things are mutually exclusive. Mm-hmm. You can be interested in baking and weightlifting or bicycle riding and sex and also want to save the planet and care about ecology and getting politically organized, and also be interested in the more philosophical and political aspects of what's going on in veganism and debating the future of the movement. I mean, how can we not? Yeah. How can we be indifferent to the rise and fall of the abolitionist paradigm in veganism, which happened just in these couple of years? You know what I mean? Like, there are these obvious questions, and incredibly few channels comment on it. How can we be indifferent to the fact that Direct Action Everywhere started off with an anarchist philosophy of having no leaders and transformed into being dominated by one leader, self-appointed dictator for life, who canceled the elections and so on? That's interesting. There's something, like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't know any other YouTube channel. Like, literally. Like, those two issues, they're huge issues. Abolitionism as a paradigm and DXE, the political transformation. Good luck. I mean, maybe there is one other YouTube channel that's talked about it. But honestly, I think there were zero. So, I mean, those are things where your perspective, and obviously, I mean, she's in love with me, and she's also is a fan of the content. I understand your perspective. Like, why aren't more people watching this?
Yeah.
And then the other question is, why aren't more people getting inspired by this and wanting to do something positive? Mm. But the answer is they aren't.
Right.
So I'm quitting. So I'm moving on.
They aren't. So
yeah. So I got to draw my conclusions and move on.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be 35 again, people. Like, do you think, and again, all this stuff, a lot of things I came on here to say, I was really passionate about the first time I said them. It meant a lot to me to come out and talk about dog castration and people feeding, beef to their pet cats. So we just had another controversy about that. Cheetah reported on raw meat being fed to some vegan activist dog. It doesn't matter. Vegans who buy meat and feed it to their animals. When I first came on YouTube, of course, I was super passionate about engaging that issue and having that debate. Okay, well, now I've had it. Yeah. Like, I'm now 40. Do you think I'm going to keep doing that until I'm 60? I got to look at the next 20 years of my life. Do you think I'm going to keep doing it alone?
Yeah.
And, I have inspired other people to make changes and do things that are positive.
Yes, yeah.
And even someone like Mod Vegan is an example.
And your videos will still be up. It's not like you're, deleting your channel. I'm done with this. Let's get rid of everything. No, your channel's content will still be up, and people can see those debates, can see when you were passionate about that, when you were really thinking about these things and influencing other people, and I'll continue to be influenced. But
I don't want to say it twice, and I want to say it 10 times.
Exactly, and I totally agree. And looking forward to what we're going to do in the next 10 years. I would really like what you say with your video on community. And I know I just talked about this in another video of yours, that, you want to have a group of people that you can have some semblance of community with, common values that are shared. And that's, we've had better experiences with staying in touch with people and getting in touch with people who are actually from China or Taiwan. Right. You've kept in touch with people that you only really
I met a couple times in person.
You met a couple times in person, and then you've continued to talk to them for 5 or 10 years even.
Yep.
So anyway, I feel more hope about
the role of Chinese in our Chinese as a language. Sure.
Right. And I think it might be even possible because of how prominent veganism is in Taiwan, that we would be able to form some kind of community, or at least get to know enough, 5. You talk about just having 5 to 10 people to get involved with
to do projects, like publishing a children's storybook, or maybe it's taking the story and trying to get some kind of animation made for it, or some kind of cartoon. Maybe it's doing some other outreach projects.
Mm-hmm. There is that
but maybe channel. Also specifically, I'd love to do an education and outreach campaign. I mentioned on leather.
Yeah.
It'd be great to do an education outreach campaign on conditions of laborers, All these things are great.
Definitely.
But yeah, I can't do it alone.
Yeah,
I mean, it's also true financially. I can't do it alone,
exactly.
Sure.
The financial
in every
thing.
way.
I remember, in the email response that you were responding to, he was asking about making your own institution that will be more organized, that will be better politically. And, of course, the number one thing is time, having the time to get that involved, and how that's going to be affected by what we are doing for the next 10 years, or even the next 5 years. If you're getting an MA and PhD, that takes a lot of time. That's just takes a lot of time out of your life, and also a lot of money out of your life. And what are you going to be doing to earn money at that time? Is this, organization, is this going to be earning money or whatever? Anyway, that was just something that I was thinking about, that as we go forward,
right.
I don't know, like what role would this have if you were going to continue making a channel where you repeat the same things, like about feeding raw meat to your dog, or even just like talking about having dogs. Like, we complain to each other all the time that we can't go for a walk in Victoria without seeing people picking up poo from their dogs and stuff. We're able to, we lament that all the time. But we're not going to talk about that. You could, if you decided to do that, you could keep making videos just repeating the same things. You'd probably still get viewers, but
right.
I don't know. Yeah. I was just gonna say, in that email response, or just you were getting comments that people were asking you, have you ever been involved with Cube of Truth? Have you been have you been to protests? And I just say,
I don't mind the question. I hate it that people use the question as an insult. Like, ask a question. If you want to ask it as a question, don't insult me presuming you already know the answer. But
right.
Yeah.
And this kind of rolls into like the issue of it being a meritocracy, and what a meritocracy, like, of what? Like, what are you?
What merit or
what merit do you have?
What hierarchy? Yeah.
And I remember when I first saw your channel, I think I'd been vegan for like, I don't know, I would say 9 months or something like that. Right. So it was at this point where I had, gotten a diet down. I had gotten, my beliefs down. Like, this was something that I really cared about. And what I saw on social media with veganism was telling me that to be more vegan, to be like the best vegan I could, or, to really do something about this, was to go out and join protests.
Street protests specifically, street protests, right.
So it was at that time that I actually, like, I was looking at the vegan subreddit every day, trying, trying to talk with other people. But even then, I was getting tired of what I was seeing on Reddit. I was like, I don't really want to see people's, like, meals that they cooked up. I don't really want to see most of what is shown on the vegan Reddit. But then I saw the first video that I ever saw of yours was posted there by somebody. And it was protests won't change the world, or something like that. Yeah. So I just wanted to say,
which is my critique of street protests as a method of activism, in contrast to other forms of education, organization, and lobbying government. Briefly, but yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No.
Go on. Just mention what the video was about.
Great. Yeah. It was about getting out there and being a protester on the street, and just how does that play into being vegan for me at the time. Like, when I was thinking, like, I had joined groups that there wasn't a lot going on in the Detroit area, but there were fur protests, and I was like, maybe I should go to a fur protest, or I should do something. Toronto is close enough. I could have gone to the Toronto Pigs Have, or gotten involved with some organization like that. But basically, listening to that, I was like, I don't even know if that would be the best use of my time and effort to go to a street protest. And what can I do? And when I saw your videos, I was like, I was kind of blown away. I was like, Gary Yoffsky had been quite an influence on me and my ex-boyfriend. Like, that was really what convinced my ex-boyfriend to go vegan, having this guy basically yell at him that you're a piece of shit unless you're vegan. So, like, seeing your response to that was definitely changed my mind about how I should proceed with having veganism as a moral character, a part of my moral character. So yeah, like, it is a question. What are people's what is their idea of you having merit as a vegan leader? And I think some people do think that James ASPI has more merit for being a leader in the vegan community because he has done so many lectures that he's been to all these events, like you say,
right.
Nation Rising,
and he gets paid. I'm just saying he is. We don't really know where his money comes from. He seems to have been wealthy his whole life. I'm not criticizing him, but if you just listen to his life story, there was a lot of money for him to spend and go skiing and to do cocaine while skiing. Yeah. So, but if you actually listen to him talk about his life story, that he was snorting cocaine while skiing in British Columbia, and he's traveling all around the world. His whole life story seems to have a lot of money and drugs and these kinds of pastimes. So I assume he was basically born rich and had other sources of wealth. But nevertheless, this is also... he is paid to go around the world and give the same lecture again and again and attend these events as a celebrity.
And be on the news, yeah.
Right, and he's a celebrity for what? So go on, babe.
I know your videos are more interesting for sure, like when you are talking with someone who you disagree with, like that you have. Yeah. So, this is all to say, like, I agree with you, but I like other things that I also wanted to, like, talk about.
Sure, do it.
So, yeah. No, I have already basically talked about it, but I think there is some hope in you continuing to make children's stories. Like I think that's something that long term could be something that you do because you have such a natural talent for writing. But
let me contrast that to another one of the criticisms that's been written in to me explicitly. Some people said, so again, maybe this is only like 3 people, but still, several people said that I'm overreacting by caring about the leaders in veganism who happen to be on the internet, right? So that's not just James ASPI, but also people like Gary Francione who do publish books. I'm just saying, they don't exist on the internet. That somehow there's a real world of veganism separate from and opposed to what you see here on YouTube. And I disagree with that. So I'm just saying this is not irrelevant to what you're saying. Mm-hmm. If you talk about getting organized and doing children's storybooks, getting organized with who? Getting support from whom to do what? These are my contemporaries. This is the movement. This is the talent pool we have to work with. And, I think I've exhausted the English language audience. Like, I've reached everyone I could possibly reach in Australia, English-speaking Europe, Canada, the United States. But it's really false for people to say to me, as they did. Several people wrote in saying, like, no, you're just getting disappointed because the people who happen to be on the internet, like Doreen Ryder and stuff. Yeah, well, through my critique of Doreen Ryder and James ASPI and Gary Yourofsky and Gary Francione and so on, I've reached that audience. And it's for that reason that I'm right, or I have some justification to be pessimistic about, well, who am I going to work with on that storybook project or to make that happen. I don't have a team of people who can take that forward. I don't have a team of people who can lobby the school board with me or any of these other projects I wanted to do. I don't have one person, So I just say the pessimism about that is real. And it's not an abstraction. It's not a stereotype. It's based on real individual people in their hundreds and in their thousands. And that is the generation. That is the talent pool I have to work with. So yeah, in a sense, this is the exception that proves the rule. The storybook project is good only in as much as I can do it totally myself. I don't have to rely on anyone else. So in that, I can agree with you. Yeah, I got faith in me working alone, right? But it's like the exception that proves the rule. It's like, right, that's the kind of thing I'm moving towards. Because I don't even have 5 other people I can do a project. I don't even have anyone to collab on a video with or anything. Yeah. And look, and the couple people there who were friendly to me, shout out to Foot Soldier. Foot Soldier invited me to do a collab recently. Foot Soldier can't cooperate with me in any of these kinds of projects. Not hating him. He does his little limited thing. He's not going to take on lobbying City Hall or the school boards or leather or do an education project about labor rights and labor workers, or a story project. So just see the couple people I know who are still positive towards me. Shout out to them.
I don't think
I appreciate that, but a lot of these people work within constraints.
Yeah, like you said, even if it is conceivable that he would do lobbying and where he lives, you don't live in the UK, so it's like
he lives in Spain actually. Right? Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought he was from the UK.
He's British, but he lives in Spain.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm not derailing. I'm just saying, you can continue.
I don't know if I have anything else to...
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
I don't know if I have anything else on my list, but
cool.
I just, I was just saying, like, that is the one positive route that I can see.
Right.
Like, I still think you could write children's literature that is basically like propaganda.
So that's a cool place to end the video, though, right? Because that's...
Get somebody involved that could do animation to animate the stories.
If I pay them,
or like
nobody's going to do it for free.
Like I loved the idea of Mr. Rogers, and I loved that show when I was a kid growing up. Or like having something as simple as that, but with like puppets that talked about veganism, about animals.
And you could do music, but the same you have a background in music. That's what you do. But look, you can be an author alone. Mm-hmm. You can't do politics alone. You can't. That's the difference, right? However, would you rather be an author alone? Would you rather be an author with the support of a couple thousand people on the internet? It makes a huge difference, right? Mm-hmm. So, that's another sense in which this engagement in the last 5 years has really been a failure, and I've got to look at it negatively. To say something slightly positive, in the earlier video, I said, well, my life would be better now if I'd put the 5 years into Cree or Ojibwe or Navajo or something like that, indigenous people's languages and education and politics. I think I also said, or Cambodia as an example. One of the reasons why I did put all this time into veganism was the type of person I wanted to be colleagues with, and it's people like you, Melissa. But I wouldn't have met you through doing Korean Ojibwe. I wouldn't have met you through doing Cambodia. And I know who I'd meet. I have enough experience with those examples, and I wouldn't met you through Buddhism. So, that's a factor. However, coming back to a point you made earlier, what kind of people do you meet through learning Chinese as a language or doing Chinese and language education, Chinese and politics of Asia? And you were just saying earlier, you think we'll meet better people. She has experienced this now too. The quality of people, the type of people you meet through Chinese politics, Chinese language education. Yeah. So in reality, there's another judgment there.
Even people that we meet in Canada who happen to be from China.
But the hope was definitely that I wouldn't just meet you, that I'd have a bunch of people in my life.
Yeah, right.
Because I really felt, and sometimes things remind me, back when veganism wasn't the main thing in my life, I was still so passionate about it. And when I happened to meet people who were vegetarian or vegan, like within the field I was working in, within whatever it was, Buddhism or Asian studies or politics or whatever, I'd be so eager to try to meet them because I felt extremely alienated ethically from the people who were not vegetarian or not vegan. And I've always felt that sense of moral purpose is so fundamental to life and should motivate us to work together and accomplish great things, that I was really optimistic about the type of people I met and what would come out of meeting them. Mm-hmm. Okay, guys, that's it. The good and the bad. If you want more videos where Melissa does the majority of the talking, give this a thumbs up and give this a positive comment, because it hangs in the balance. What percentage of à-bas-le-ciel is Melissa on the microphone? Thanks, babe. Thanks for coming on, Mike, and holding it down.
Yep.